What's up, everybody? Welcome back to EXJW Diaries, where we can talk about life as a Jehovah's Witness and as an ex-Jehovah's Witness. My name is Justin, and this is diary entry number 6, to fade or not to fade. There's a crucial point in the process of waking up where you've done all the research, all the sleepless nights, all the mental warfare, trying to convince yourself to stay. But you've reached the point where now you know that this is not the truth, and it's time to leave and reclaim your life back. Then at that point, you then have to decide how it is that you're going to leave. Fading is just one of 3 methods, along with getting disfellowshipped or putting in a disassociation letter. And fading also happens to be the method that I myself chose. So in this video, I want to give you guys the most realistic view of fading that I can. That way, if you choose to fade, you at least be a little bit more emotionally prepared for it than I was. So, let's get into it. First things first, just to keep everybody on the same page, what is fading? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the process of slowly backing away and distancing yourself from the organization until it was like you were never there. And to be honest, it's incredibly challenging. And every step you take along your fade must be done with surgical precision so as not to raise any red flags. Otherwise, mission failed. Let me say straight up, there is no easy way out of the Jehovah's Witnesses, unless you are kind of on the fence about things and living a double life. But if you really took the religion seriously, and especially if you held a higher position in the organization, like I did, there really is no easy way out of this. I can't really speak on what it's like to be disfellowshipped or to disassociate, but I'd imagine it's pretty traumatic. I mean, your whole world is turned upside down in just the amount of time it takes for the announcer to say your name. It's gotta be pretty crazy. But I can definitely speak on what it's like to go through the process of fading. And let me tell you, it is absolutely psychological torture. And I'm not saying that to be dramatic. I really do mean it. It's definitely a challenging experience and something that you really have to mentally prepare yourself for, which is something I hope this video does, at least a little bit. But before we talk about the challenges of fading, let's talk about some of the benefits. So for the first benefit, it gives you time to wrap things up. In my case, this was the biggest reason why I chose to fade. When I woke up, I was still working for a Jehovah's Witness-owned company. And not only was it Jehovah's Witness-owned, but 80 to 90% of the employees at the company were Jehovah's Witnesses. My direct manager was a Jehovah's Witness. My manager's manager was an elder. That guy's boss was also an elder, all the way up to the owner of the company, who was also an elder. Even in my office, I was surrounded by witnesses. Here's a little diagram of how the office was laid out, just to give you an idea. So as you can imagine, being in a company like that, in an office like that, simply disassociating would put both me and them in a very uncomfortable position. And since witnesses are not allowed to have any contact with quote-unquote apostates, chances are my job may have been in jeopardy, and they may have found some excuse to let me go. By fading, I was able to slowly back away from the organization while still staying undercover enough to find another job. The second benefit of fading is that it gives you a more gradual transition. When you leave the witnesses, your entire worldview is changing. Your beliefs are changing. You yourself will change, but that's a subject for another video. One thing a lot of us humans have in common is that we really don't like change, especially rapid and drastic changes, which is exactly what you will be facing as you leave the organization. For some people, that immediate cutoff from getting disfellowshipped or turning in a disassociation letter is just too much. Imagine if you've been locked in a dark room for your whole life, pitch black. You don't even know what you look like. Your entire perception of yourself and your environment has been based on the absence of light. Now, would you rather have the lights turned on with a flick of a switch and just boom, your entire reality has changed? Or would you rather have the lights slowly dimmed up? Different people will prefer different things. Some just want to get it over and done with, but for those who want something smoother, fading has that benefit. Now, the third benefit is probably the most common reason people choose to fade, and that's family. For those who want to keep some contact with their witness family members for as long as possible, fading is really the only option. This is especially important for people who have kids that are really plugged into the organization, or who have a spouse that's very involved. For people in those situations, fading is the only way to keep their family together, or to keep their marriage together. So there's a few benefits of fading. Now let's talk about the challenges. Things that are unfortunately not really talked about all that often. But if they catch you off guard, they can make the whole process of fading even harder than it already is. So I'll give you 3 of the biggest challenges that I personally faced. That way, if you face these things, you can be at least a little bit more emotionally and mentally prepared than I was. The first big challenge is that fading is a very lonely experience. Remember, the whole point of fading is to gently drift away to the point that people eventually just kind of forget about you. The Jehovah's Witnesses obviously frown upon having quote-unquote worldly friends. So your average Jehovah's Witness doesn't have any close contacts on the outside, and it can take time to build new friendships, especially since you are still getting used to the culture outside of the Jehovah's Witnesses. And to complicate things further, you have to be very careful because you don't want any current witnesses seeing you out and about associating with quote-unquote worldly people. This can make it challenging to build non-Jehovah's Witness connections while you're in the process of fading. On the other hand, you also can't be as close to your Jehovah's Witness friends because, let's face it, your witness friends, they're your companions, but they are also your accountability partners. The further away you get from the world of the Watchtower, the more you become out of touch with everything going on in the world of Watchtower. Which means if there is a particular study article or paragraph that everybody is talking about, you won't know about it. If one of your old friends went to Bethel and was featured in one of the latest JW broadcast videos, you won't know about it. If there was some special announcement made during the last CO visit, you won't know about it. Yes, you won't know about a lot of things. And the things you do know about, you'll begin to forget because you're not so submerged in JW culture. All those JW behaviors that were just not really natural, those will just drift off of you. And eventually, your Jehovah's Witness friends will start to suspect you. What this means is that at a certain point in your fade, hanging out with your Jehovah's Witness friends becomes more and more of a liability to your fading process, as they begin to think of you as someone who needs to be encouraged. That's a slippery slope that leads to elders' visits and more eyes on you. And it's kind of hard to fade if you have elders' eyes watching you. So guess what? Mission failed. So I'll tell you something that I really wish was told to me, but still nothing can really prepare you for it. And that's that at some point in time, later as you get deeper into your fading process, there will come a day when you go to hang out with your Jehovah's Witness friends, people you've known for decades, people that have become like your family. You'll be out with them, having fun, like you usually do. And then the end of the night will come, and it's time for everybody to go their separate ways. And everybody will say, see you later. And for them, it's genuine. But for you, when you say it, you'll look at them in a way that you never looked at them before. You'll know in the back of your mind that you've reached that point where you know that you're not going to see them again. And you can't say goodbye, and you can't even tell them why. You just have to ghost them and ignore all the texts and all the calls, and you'll just look like an a-hole. And again, you can't say why. Hanging out with them beyond that point just becomes too risky. Because let's face it, in the witness community, there's not really healthy boundaries. So your friends will think that they have the right and the okay to ask you anything and everything to figure out what the heck is going on with you. And if you say the wrong thing, mission failed. Now, the second major challenge of fading is that it leaves you in a sort of limbo state. You're not really a Jehovah's Witness, but you're also not fully free. You don't have solid footing in either world. It takes some time to reintegrate yourself into normal society, especially for the people who are fully raised as witnesses. Now, in my own experience, this limbo state led to a strong feeling of just being lost. And when you add that feeling of loneliness that we talked about before to the feeling of being lost, and then you throw in all the other feelings of confusion and hurt and anger that come from waking up, all you can do is strap yourself in and hold on to whatever sanity you have left, because that is a very heavy experience that nothing can really prepare you for. Now, the third challenge of fading that I faced was the fact that for at least a few months, if not longer, you must continue to give more of your time to the Watchtower. Only now, you're giving them your time with full awareness of it. You're not asleep anymore. You feel all those hours slipping out of you, knowing you can't get them back. Early in your fade, you'll still need to go to meetings, study, answer, and even go out in service in order to avoid raising red flags. It's for this reason that my fade, which was originally supposed to be a 9 to 12-month, very gradual process, ended up being a very rapid 3 to 4-month dash. Going to meetings to just sit there and listen and give them more of my time that I will never get back, it was just too much for me. If you've ever watched the Walking Dead series, which if you're a newly awakened witness, you probably haven't, but it's pretty good for the first couple seasons at least. After that, they kind of took it too far. But anyways, if you have watched it, you'll know that there is times when Rick and his gang have to basically cover themselves with zombie guts as a sort of camouflage in order to be able to safely move through a horde of zombies without getting caught. That was how I felt each and every time I put on my suit and tie to go to a meeting. Being a witness is all about appearances. We know that. And when you're fading, keeping up appearances, especially in the beginning stages, is still very much a part of your life. So it's very challenging to be fully awake and yet still have to keep up to their appearances, their standards, and give them more of your time. I'll tell you, when you're a witness, having the elders bug you for your field service time, that was always annoying. When you're awake, turning in that field service report, that hits a whole lot different. Because now you're seeing right on paper how much hours you're giving them that you'll never get back. So now you have a few benefits and a few challenges of fading, straight from somebody who's actually went through it and came out the other side. Now, we're all different people. Everybody's got different circumstances. So you have to decide for yourself if fading is the right course for you. Now, for me, the pros definitely outweighed the cons. Fading was very challenging, very heartbreaking, and very traumatic. But I'm glad I did it because it allowed me to close the doors that I needed to close, finish the things that I needed to finish before I made my exit actually official. So hopefully this video gave you a good overview of the experience of fading and why you may want to do it and why you may not want to do it. And I'll definitely have more videos in the future talking about the subject of fading. But that's it for this one. So if you liked this video, please hit that like button. If you loved it, please hit the subscribe button. And thank you so much for your time. Take it easy on yourself. I'll catch you in the next one.